Dune, one of the most iconic science fiction worlds out there. But what do you need to know before you dive in? Let's take a look. Hi everyone, this is Robert. Welcome to In Deep Geek. On this channel we cover the best of science fiction and fantasy in nerdy detail. Take a look, and if you're new here, welcome. And to get this out of the way, I've tried to avoid major spoilers here, but in trying to give you a feel for the universe of Dune, there are obviously going to be a few bits of information that don't come up until partway through the first book, say. So that's your warning. The novel Dune was published in 1965 by Frank Herbert and was an immediate success, winning both the Hugo and Nebula Awards for Best Sci-Fi Novel and selling millions. Records vary, but it's generally recognised as one of the best-selling science fiction books in history. Over the next 20 years, Herbert wrote 5 more books in the series: Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, Heretics of Dune, and Chapter House Dune. These gained a dedicated readership, but it was after his death that the world really took off. His son, Brian Herbert, together with the author Kevin J. Anderson, continued to write stories set in the universe, set both before and after the original Dune story. To date, there are 23 novels, plus several short stories, graphic novels, and of course some films and TV shows. For some time, the original story was considered unfilmable due to its epic scope and spiritual, psychological or magical elements. We'll get onto that in a moment. But the 1984 David Lynch film, complete with Patrick Stewart charging into battle carrying a pug, yes really, and the 2000s miniseries gained their own fans. And of course, Denis Villeneuve's adaptation has won both critical and commercial success. And at the time of writing this video, Dune Prophecy is getting positive initial reviews on its first episode on HBO, so we'll see how that goes. But what is the world of Dune? The stories are set in the far future. Humanity has spread and colonised distant planets, but crucially, technology has not developed along a straight line. Central to this is what is known as the Butlerian Jihad, a conflict that took place perhaps 10,000 years before the main story, during which there was a wide-scale purge on computers and thinking robots. AI, basically. A fundamental tenet of this was the ruling, "Thou shalt not make a machine in the likeness of a human mind." This prohibition shaped the Dune universe. Technological progress stalled or shifted in other directions. Advanced personal shields can protect against fast projectiles, so knives are often used in battles. Space travel is still possible, but not through supercomputers, but using expensive spice. We'll get back to that in a moment. So travel between planets is more of an event than it is in some other sci-fi series. All of which creates a near-feudal feel to Dune. Ancient noble houses rule planets, vying with one another for power in a never-ending great game. Ruling over all of this is the Emperor, whose family, House Corino, emerged after the Butlerian Jihad as the preeminent force, controlling their interests with the mighty Sardaukar military. Not that House Corino are the only power in this universe. One of the most intriguing elements to the story is how there are multiple powers at play here. The Emperor, for sure, but the noble houses too, individually on their own planets, but also collectively as the Landsraad, a sort of Council of Lords. Space travel, so important in a multi-galaxy empire, is operated as a monopoly by the Spacing Guild. The Emperor's wealth is managed by the powerful CHOAM organization. There is an overarching religion based on the Orange Catholic Bible, and there are 2 groups or orders of some influence that we should also cover. Mentats are humans who, in the absence of advanced computers, have been trained to go into a heightened mental state that allows them to compute and remember and sift through vast amounts of information as swiftly as a computer used to. Most of the great houses have one among their key staff. And the Bene Gesserit are a mysterious sisterhood who have been influencing events behind the scenes for millennia. Often thought of as witches, they can display an array of special, perhaps mystical abilities. Most obvious is probably the voice, which allows them to speak authoritatively in a way that compels the listener to obey. But they can also tell if someone is lying, access the memories of their predecessors, and gain an absolute control over their muscles that allows them a massive advantage in hand-to-hand combat, say. quite the skill set. The Bene Gesserit are never themselves in positions of official power, but their influence is huge, marrying or advising the most important lords and the Emperor himself. They claim to serve humanity, but what their agenda truly is only revealed as the story unfolds. All of which brings us to the main story of Dune and House Atreides. As the main story is about to start, the Emperor has told House Atreides to relocate en masse to the desert planet of Arrakis, also known as Dune. That used to be the home planet of their arch-rivals House Harkonnen. Arrakis is inhospitable, but is the only known source of spice, the most valuable substance in the universe. In small quantities, it can prolong life and invigorate the user. Repeated use turns your eyes bright blue. Used in larger quantities, it can unlock powers of precognition or clairvoyance. In particular, the Spacing Guild feed it to their pilots to allow them, in the absence of computers, to guide their ships across the galaxies. It is hard to harvest, seemingly guarded by the massive sandworms, requiring complex airdrops of men and machinery and finely timed operations to gather even small amounts. The story of Dune covers House Atreides adapting to their new planet, knowing full well it must be a trap laid by House Harkonnen. The main character we follow is Paul Atreides, son and heir to Duke Leto and his wife Jessica, a Bene Gesserit. Paul adapts eerily quickly to his new homeworld, and we soon come into contact with the Fremen, the indigenous people of the land with legends of a coming Messiah. The story develops swiftly and escalates swiftly. This isn't just about one young man on a new planet, or even the fate of a noble family. The fate of the entire Imperium is at stake. As well as the intricate background to the universe, Dune often receives praise for making the reader second-guess where their loyalties should lie. Environmental and religious themes clash in a maelstrom of declining civilizations, gender dynamics, and simple good storytelling. And through it all runs an exploration of what it means to be a hero. As Frank Herbert himself said, "I am showing you the superhero syndrome and your own participation in it." This is a story that is intended to lead to some self-reflection by the reader. Why is Dune so popular? It is well written and provides a fully realised universe that blends science fiction with mystical and fantastical elements, and the story itself is gripping. But more than that, it treats the reader as a grown-up, encouraging us to assess and reassess who, if anyone, is a hero here, and what that tells us about what we ourselves value. And the shifting sands of Arrakis provide the backdrop to all of this, in the first book anyway. A bleak and inhospitable landscape to outsiders, but home to great treasures, like the story itself. If you'd like to see more introductory videos like this, there's a playlist appearing now on the left of your screen. Or to support this channel, thank you. There's a link to my Patreon page on the right of your screen. That's all for this time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.